All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Drone Radio Live. Today is January 20th, 2016. This is our first show in the new studio. It's the same room, but as you can see, our brothel, our red velvet brothel drapes have been taken down. So we're here. Thank you for watching if you happen to be watching. As always, the show is going to be archived at YouTube once it's done. And this is going to be the first show where we break up the show into segments. You can either watch the full video archive, or you can watch any of the segments from the show at our YouTube channel, which is Multi-Rotor Forums. Okay, so thank you for watching. Tonight's show is going to be made up of news with Patrick Egan from SUAS News. We're going to have Patrick Roy from Multi-Rotor Forums. He goes by Old Man. He's going to conclude his review of the Blade Chroma CG03. That's the 4K version, the high-end version of the Blade Chroma. And Scott Norton is here. He goes by Moto Preserve at the website. He's working the panel right now. He's going to be coming up to join us to do a safety briefing, talking to you about how to plan to be safe in the pre-flight before you even fly. And then yours truly is going to be talking to you at length, while also trying to be brief, about the basics of multi-rotor helicopters, the components, how they work, and then in order to make it all make sense, we're going to trace the power from the battery pack through the helicopter, through the power distribution to all the different components so that it makes sense for you. And that's also going to serve as our introduction to Group Build 2016. Who's excited? Anyone? Scott, thank you. Group Build 2016 is going to continue on continue a tradition we started 2 years ago, where we do a build thread at the website. As many people as we can get follow along, do a similar build at about the same time. So we're all passing the same milestones at about the same time, asking each other questions. And the group build from 2014 is still going. There's still people building Flame. It was a DJI F450 with a NASA flight controller, and over 100,000 thread views of the 2014 group build. So this is also our basics of multi-rotors is going to serve as the launch for Group Build 2016. Anything you see tonight will be a topic of discussion at Multi-Rotor Forums. So when I do my basics review, you can watch it at the YouTube archive. If you have any questions, you can go back and rewatch it. But you can always come to Multi-Rotor Forums. Post a thread, and if you put a little ampersand in front of my username, which is Bartman, that's on the screen right there, that'll generate an alert, and that'll let me know the next time I log on that somebody mentioned me in a thread. So if you have a specific question from the show that you think I could answer for you, or that you think Scott, Moto Preserve, can answer, or Pat Roy, Old Man, just put the ampersand in front of our username, and that'll show up in the thread and create an alert for us. So let's get right to the news. We're going to talk to Patrick Egan. No answer. Oh, Patrick, killing me. That was his New Year's resolution, too. He said, I am never going to be late for a call with Drone Radio Live. And here he is, the first show, and he's late. So
that was next New Year's.
Yeah, next New Year's. That was 2017. So, anyway, what can we talk about instead? You want to try Patrick Roy? Old Man?
I'll try him.
Try giving Old Man a call. We'll come back to Pat Egan. Pat Egan, you know, he comes home from work, Pat Egan. He works hard. He runs, or he's pretty involved with SUASnews.com. He gets home. He says, I got to have a big bowl of Cheerios, throw some bananas in there. And he probably hasn't finished his Cheerios yet, so he's not answering our Skype call. If that's what it is, I understand, because Cheerios are a very serious cereal, especially for that after-work crowd out in California. So I apologize. I just spoke to him 15 minutes ago and said, hey, Patrick, we're going to call you about 3 minutes past the hour. Be ready. He said, no problem. I'm going to be sitting in front of my beautiful brick backdrop just to make you jealous, Bart. And I said, great.
Old Man doesn't have a video cam set up right now.
Patrick Roy does not have a video cam.
It's just not recognizing right now.
You don't dial the video call. You just make a regular call.
Sure.
Yeah. New Year?
Hey,
New Year, same problems. Live television. Don't we just love live television? I could hear him. Patrick, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm seeing me.
You're seeing you? That's fine. You could see you.
Okay, well, that'll work.
So we're going to skip ahead. We'll come back to Patrick Egan. And we're talking to Patrick Roy right now. He lives out in Oregon, just on the Hood River. And he started back in November with a Blade Chroma, the 4K version. He's been doing a review at the website since November. He's been adding to it as he's had more and more experience, as he's uncovered different features of the equipment. And he's joining us now for a recap and a wrap-up to give us his final impressions, to let us know thumbs up, thumbs down on the Blade Chroma 4K. So let's switch over to Patrick. How you doing tonight, Patrick?
Pretty good, Bart. How are you?
Good. Hey, your video camera looks good. Congratulations.
I'm not seeing any video on the YouTube side.
Oh, that's
and
okay.
Anything live on your end, but I'm looking at myself, and I'm still pretty.
Yeah. No, you're a handsome guy. You're handsome. You also have a nice backdrop. You've got that wood paneling. I should let you guys design the studio next time. Rev 3 is going to be designed by committee instead of just me.
I don't know. I like the brothel sheets myself, but we'll keep moving.
Yeah, we won't discuss that. So you've been doing a review. It's the, why don't you tell us the full model name?
Okay, it's the Blade Chroma with the ST10 Plus and CGO3 4K camera on there.
Okay, so the ST10 Plus is the controller with the built-in video display, right?
Yes. And let me hold that up and see if I can get some of this to show through for everybody. What may show up, but I just turned it on so you get some idea of what's coming through on it.
Sure, no, that's an attractive looking piece of equipment.
It's, for its size, it's larger, it's taller, it's loud too, but it's taller than most transmitters.
Right.
But it's amazingly light, and I hate to do the hands thing, but it fits the hands pretty nicely.
Okay.
If there's anything that I had any drawbacks on it, is the fact that it's got the screen on the transmitter, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
However, it picks up glare really bad when you're outside in the sunlight, so I put the glare shield on it. I silicone mine on. So
is that glare shield is that a Horizon product or is that an aftermarket product?
No, it actually comes with the Chroma if you get the Chroma kit. Right now they have a basic Chroma and the ST10 Plus for. I'm really upset about this for $8.99. I paid like $10.50 for mine, but that's okay. But it comes pretty well equipped. It comes with a transmitter, a battery, the charger, 2 sets of props, some tools, pretty much everything that you need to work on it if you had to.
Right.
And a nice little, lens cleaning cloth and an extra UV haze filter.
So let's go through the basics real quick. How much, what kind of flying time do you get with the camera equipment that's on there, doing your typical flying, repositioning for different angles, doing some active video shooting? What kind of flight times did you see with it?
I'm averaging 20 minutes plus.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Horizon advertises 30 minutes, but I kind of look at that, take that with a grain of salt, because every manufacturer goes for the most optimistic conditions and setup they can go with to maximize their for their flight time. So, I'm 17 to 20 couple minutes. I mean, 25 is not unusual with other people have to do. If you fly really aggressive, you can knock it down to 15 to 17 real quick.
Right.
But that's you drop the camera, go into stability or agility mode, and literally beat the heck out of it.
Now, can you hold the helicopter up again real quick for a second? I think you did at the beginning. You were about to, and then you went for the transmitter. There we go.
Okay, the Chroma comes white, and you notice the black propellers. That's not stock. Those are the new stiffies that are carbon, and it's a little better.
And those are those Gropner props? Is that a Gropner product? It's got the Gropner profile, the blade design. Similar
to a Gropner, but the actual name, and I'd have to put my glasses on it.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Aeronaut, and they're German-made prop.
Oh, okay.
They're aggressive in pitch, but they're quieter. a little less vibration, and it actually has the through hole on it where you can balance them where the stock Chroma blades do not.
Right.
Easy to balance, but motors run a little bit cooler. Do you get any more flight time? No. There is a little better performance in the angle mode or AP mode, as Horizon calls it.
What are the basic flight modes? If you, off the top of your head, what are the basic? How many are there to choose from initially? Most of the helicopters have 2 or 3 flight modes that you can select throughout the flight, in addition to your GPS modes. But what are they? What does a blade Chroma typically have, or what are you typically going to be able to choose from? Your
basic flight modes on a Chroma, you've got 5 modes. You've got the smart mode, which is you can't do anything wrong. Somebody that's never seen one before could pick it up and fly it in about 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then you've got an angle mode or AP mode. It's all handled by a switch right here. That'll general camera stuff where you still have a lot of stabilization and the transmitter's doing most of the control. You don't have to remember the orientation at all. It'll go whichever way you push the stick. I mean, if you push forward, it goes forward. It doesn't matter which way the copter's oriented.
So that's like a carefree mode or intelligent orientation control, depending on the flight control system.
Yeah, super simple loiter, what have you, but different. They do the same thing. There is 2 other modes on here. One is agility. It'd be in this position with the switch up or away from you. But when you hold this down and you push a button, I can't remember which button. You push this button like 5 times or 4 times, and that'll put you in an agility mode. Don't go there unless you're 3D qualified.
Right.
You will be. You've got 3 inches of movement before you can turn this thing upside down. It is extremely agile.
You know, I remember you saying that at the website that you know, compared to some of the other ready-to-fly quadcopters, that this one's manual mode or agility mode, as you called it, is actually really capable if you want to rip this thing around. You know, take the camera mount off and just fly it in a manual mode where you're not getting assistance from the gyros and stuff.
It'll compete with an FPV racer, not in speed, but definitely in maneuverability. I mean, you can get around. And cool. Then below that, you've got a stability mode, which is self-stabilizing pretty much if you get off the sticks, but you've got a lot more speed and a lot more pitch and pitch, yaw, and roll control, a lot more angle on it if you want to use it. And the bottom position is always go home.
Right.
So that's your basic 5. Now you trick that out a little bit because on the side of the controller you've got a turtle and a rabbit here. So up is rabbit, back is turtle. Turtle, you can walk faster than this thing will go if you've got it pulled back that far. So I just keep it up in rabbit and give myself some options.
Did you have any reason to approach Horizon Hobby? Did you have questions? Were there any instances where you approached their support avenues, and did you have any need for assistance? What was your experience with Horizon as far as support goes if you approached them?
Well, their chat people, I think they're the average modelers that are at that level. I had a couple questions about ranges and how the camera worked and this and that before I bought it, and a few things about the software, the flight controller. It didn't work out too well. They got a little confused, but that was okay. The one big question that I had, I went straight to Horizon customer service, which was about their return home altitude, because I didn't find anything in the ST10 or instructions about how to set it.
Right.
And that's preset basically by Horizon, and they answered it pretty quick. They said it's 30 feet. That's what it'll rise to if it's below that. If it's above that when you go into RTH mode, it may or may not descend to 30 feet en route to the home point. So don't really depend on, if you're up at 100 feet and you need 85 to get back, make sure you got a clear path coming back, because it may come down. Mine so far hasn't. I've only used RTH 3 times, but every time I've done it, it remained at the altitude it was at. But there is a chance that it'll descend to 30 feet. So
and that's 30 feet above the elevation that it took off from. So if you're flying out in the mountains and you happen to be down in a low spot and you're out flying around a few hundred feet above your original location, if it goes into return to mode, or I'm sorry, return to home, there's the possibility it'll drop down to 30 feet and maybe impact the side of a hill if that's a much higher elevation than where you took off from. I'm just saying it's a consideration, something to keep in mind.
Yeah, if you're at a higher, if the quad's at a higher elevation than what it took off from, that's a possibility. Now, most of these flight controllers, they work positive and negative in the data sets that work inside here. So if you take off at ground level and you dip down into a canyon where you're down 50 or 100 feet below the canyon, I would expect it to climb up to 130 or 180 feet
right.
before it returned to you, because at datum is your takeoff point.
Okay. Have you had any reason to inquire about parts? I would imagine with it being distributed by Horizon Hobby, parts would be readily available from vendors across the country. They have pretty good distribution and support that way.
I've had no need for additional parts. That's one of the nice things about this since I've got it. I haven't broke anything. Not that I haven't tried, but I haven't tried real hard as well. But I've been flying it out in crap conditions. I've been taking it out in snowstorms and flew it around several times and really cold and but it's been absolutely bulletproof. Surprisingly so that I've come to completely trust it for what it is.
Oh, that's good.
And you know what I love is it's small. I mean, I throw it in the front seat of my pickup truck, and I got room for the transmitter next to it, and a few extra batteries, and still some spares, and nothing's banging into it. So it's really portable. It's not a big cinema drone, but it shoots pretty good photos.
I saw some of the stuff. Your company, Aerial Harmony.
Yeah, well, that's.
I saw your
Aerial Harmony, but I sell no product. So
no, I saw your Vimeo channel where you posted some of the samples from it. There was some footage from a marina, different things from your area, which looked pretty good. So I was impressed. But last question about the general, the package. I forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay.
As far as wind goes, one of the problems we've seen with ready-to-fly quads. They tend to get a little squirrely once the wind picks up. So what was your experience with the Chroma? And then also I want to know, have you had to do any software updates since you got it? And have they improved anything specifically that you're happy with that end as well? Because sometimes firmware updates can be a problem.
Let's start with the last one first, with the firmware updates. There's been one firmware update since I got it. It was easy to download the firmware. First, quick warning, if you have Windows 10, you're going to have a problem when you go to Julia in there. You're going to want to set up a virtual Windows 7 machine or 8. But Windows 10 doesn't like it doesn't like Windows 10 for some reason.
I don't like Windows 10 either.
I stuck a video in the thread about it.
Right.
The explanation of how to install the video, the firmware update, is less than vague. So I had to work around trying to figure that out and figure it out finally. I had to download it. I had to open the zip file. Once I opened the zip file, I had to store the new firmware in the folder for Chroma, and then it would see it. Otherwise, it wouldn't see it. If you just downloaded it, put it somewhere on your computer that was not in the Chroma folder, it would not find the new update. But after that, things got pretty easy. It's just, okay, fine, push the button, go, and it went.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and then the other question was, how does it handle the wind? That seems to be the best metric for judging the competency of the flight control system.
Well, I'm in the Columbia Gorge. The Columbia Gorge is known as the kiteboarding capital of the world.
Okay.
We don't even talk about being windy here until things bust 35 knots.
Okay.
This handles 25-mile-an-hour winds with no problem. It's as small as it is, basically an under 500 millimeter quad. It's rock solid.
Wow.
And it'll just park and lean into it, and it'll just sit there. And that's what really surprised me. I was figuring it's going to have to be something a lot heavier, a lot bigger, with more motors to maintain stability. But the Chroma has just been absolutely wonderful in that respect. Yeah. For what it is, for a consumer quad, I have not found anything that I really dislike about it, other than a lack of written instructions by Horizon. And I'm really starting to think that they really didn't know what they had when they put their instructions together. So,
that's an interesting perspective, that maybe they got more than they bargained for when they started distributing it.
That's my feeling. Yeah.
Huh. What about it's actually, just to finish what you were saying, it's also pretty impressive considering it's a first generation product, right? The one that you have is not a second or third generation blade Chroma. It's pretty much a first generation product, right?
That's kind of
well, they had the Q5. They had the Q500 initially from Unique. Unique and Blade, and we should just mention that for sake of completeness. Unique and Blade are products that are co-developed. Blade is typically distributed by Horizon Hobby. Unique develops and distributes some of their own products through different channels. But Blade is a product that's developed and manufactured by Unique for Horizon Hobby.
Yes, and I noticed Horizon's selling Typhoons now, as I saw that today. But they had the CGO2 CGO2 version, which was the 1080 camera, and then they have a GoPro version that came out before that. This is really difficult to find, and they got a bind and fly version. So this, I don't know, software version 2. Yeah, I'd say we're probably still on the basic first version. It's just been upgraded with cameras and so forth. So yeah, I think Unique and Horizon kind of hit a winner with the Blade.
Cool.
The ST10 and Chroma and so forth.
Just real quick, Patrick, before we move on to, or before we try to get Patrick Egan back on the line to proceed with the news coverage, how has your experience worked out with that camera, with the 4K camera that they supply? Easy to use.
There is a latency. If you want to fly this thing FPV, I recommend against it because there's a 1.5 to 2 second lag in there.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the big deal. You got to plan your shots, especially if you're going to be playing with the tilt on the gimbal. And it's really smooth, but it's not really fast. I mean, if there's an improvement to be made anywhere in this thing right now, the way it sits, that would be it. That and the propellers, and you'd be good to go.
Okay.
Lots of different settings between 1080 and 4K and white balance and scene selections and so forth. A lot of versatility and flexibility here for somebody that wants to get out and go out with the family or camping or something like that, or out to the country or the beach, whatever, shoot some fun videos. This is a good tool.
Okay, I'd just like to add that the price range right now for the different models, the low end has a fixed GoPro mount attached to it that's retailing in the $450 range, I think. It goes there's a stabilized GoPro gimbal available. Is there a 1080p Blade brand camera below the 4K camera? Kind of a step between the GoPro and the 4K?
Yeah, that's the CGO2.
Oh, okay. And then the CGO3, which is the 4K camera, the one that you have, that's about $1,100, although I think they just discounted it to $900, is it?
$899.99. You got it.
So $900 for a 4K that's actually got a competent flight controller in it. That's not a bad deal. Unique, the company that does the development of these products, is actually moving ahead with additional versions, more advanced versions. So there's more coming down the pipeline from them, which is also encouraging because that means support for your model is probably going to continue, which is always good to have, right? To know that the company's not just going to abandon it and move on to something else.
Yeah, well, I participate in some other forums, and Unique. I know, I'm sorry, but I spend most of my time over years, as you know.
Thank you.
The Unique forum and the other guys in a Chroma specific forum, and so far everybody's experience with Horizon has been exemplary.
Good.
I mean, there were some motor issues. Some people got some gritty sounding motors. I don't know if they're bad or not, but they sounded bad to the people that have them. You know, Horizon exchanged them. They just sent them out some new motors.
Right.
People have crashed them and needed a new hull.
Right.
And sent them out a new hull pretty cheap. And you don't have to split the hull, by the way, to change everything out inside. So that's kind of a good thing.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah, it's if you need to do maintenance, it's definitely set up to where the average user could get in there and do whatever. And there's parts for everything. And like I said, Horizon's been great about getting those parts to people, and that's a big deal. I mean, support to me is I don't want to need a support unit or a great warranty or something like that. I mean, the best warranty I've ever had is the one I never had to use.
Right.
When you have people that stand behind what they're selling, that to me is a real big point.
Cool.
And so far, Horizon's been all over it. Well, they've been good for the most part for years, but they're carrying that forward with their multi-rotor stuff.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, Horizon's a well-respected member of the RC community in general. They've been manufacturing, good quality aircraft and helicopters and engines. They've done a good job over the years. They've earned the community's respect. I should mention that as I was researching this for my conversation with you, I was at the website for Horizon Hobby looking at their information. The photos are great. The information is good. It's all presented really well. So, they're doing a good job on the marketing side, so, doing the pre-sale support as well. And we're going to have links to all of that at Multi-Rotor Forums in the thread for this episode of Drone Radio Live. We're also going to have it in the text if you're watching this on the YouTube website. You're going to see it in the text below the video screen. You're going to see links to the product page at Horizon Hobby. All right, so anything you want to add? You seem like and we should also mention you paid for this yourself. Yeah, you've done all of this on your own dime. Horizon hasn't sponsored this. They barely respond to our emails. So it's not like we're doing them a favor by saying all this. This is just good content for our community to put this stuff out there. And you've been really generous with your time at the website, outlining all of your experiences and delving into these different things. So we really appreciate it. I want to say thank you, personally to you for doing that.
Hey, thanks for letting me put the stuff up there and this time this evening. And I want to add that as I learn more about the Chroma, because I don't know all there is to know yet. I've explored a lot, but I don't know everything. And as I learn about new products or new features, I will update the thread over at the multi-rotor shop there, and so people can come to it. And if people have questions, I do keep an eye on it. And if somebody pops in with a question, I will be more than pleased to reply. I
appreciate that very much. So thank you in advance for future support for our membership that are going to have questions for you after this. So thank you very much for setting aside time, Patrick. And I'm sorry that, it's taken us a couple of episodes to work you in. We've been saying for the last couple of episodes we were going to get to this. And it's actually worked out better that it's taken some time because it's giving you more time to keep flying it, to make some small changes, and to have a better perspective. So
I looked at it as a plus myself. So
thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have a great night. Get to your meeting now that you have to go to. And we'll see you back at the website.
Looking forward to it. Thanks again, and y'all have a nice evening.
Good night, Patrick. Thank you.